Welcome back, everybody, to December 7th. It is time for another daily Bible reading, and I hope you guys are going to have a fantastic day after this. It is 11:14, so let's get down to it. Dear Lord, thank you for this day, and thank you for everything that you've given us. Help us understand what we're about to read as we're going through the book of Isaiah. In your name I pray. Amen. All right. Almost good afternoon, everyone. We're starting in chapter 12 today, verse 1. And that day you will say, I will give thanks to you, Yahweh, for though you were angry with me, your anger has turned away, and you comfort me. Behold, God is my salvation. I will trust, and I will not be afraid. For Yahweh is my strength and song, and he has become my salvation. Therefore, with joy you will draw water out of the wells of salvation. And that day you will say, give thanks to Yahweh, call on his name, declare his doings among the peoples, proclaim that his name is exalted. Sing to Yahweh, for he has done excellent things. Let this be known in all the earth. Cry aloud and shout, you inhabitants of Zion, for the Holy One of Israel is great among you. And in that we have a little bitty psalm in the book of Isaiah, which is incredible. Chapter 13, the burden of Babylon, which Isaiah the son of Amoz saw. Set up a banner and a bare mountain. Lift up your voice to them, wave your hand, that they may go into the gates of the nobles. I have commanded my consecrated ones. Yes, I have called my mighty men for my anger, even my profound exalted ones. The noise of the multitude is in the mountains, as of a great people, the noise of an uproar of the kingdoms of the nations gathered together. Yahweh of armies is mustering the armies for battle. They come from a far country, from the uttermost part of heaven, even Yahweh and the weapons of his indignation to destroy the whole land. So the Assyrians have come and taken over. Now the Babylonians are coming, and they're going to start becoming one of the domineering civilizations of the area. The Assyrians were no joke. They ruled for 700 years, and now the Babylonians are going to come and take them over. And Isaiah is seeing this coming to fruition. So let's keep going. Wail, for Yahweh's day is at hand. It will come as destruction from the Almighty. Therefore all hands will be feeble, and everyone's heart will melt. They will be dismayed. Pangs and sorrows will seize them. They will be in pain like a woman in labor. They will look in amazement one at another. Their faces will be faces of flame. Behold, the day of Yahweh comes, cruel with wrath and fierce anger, to make the land a desolation and destroy its sinners out of it. For the stars of the sky and its constellations will not give their light. The sun will be darkened in its going out, and moon will not cause its light to shine. I will punish the world for their evil, and the wicked for their iniquity. I will cause the arrogance of the proud to cease, and will humble the arrogance of the terrible. I will make people more rare than fine gold, even a person than a pure gold of Ophir. Therefore I will make the heavens tremble, and the earth will be shaken out of its place in Yahweh's of armies' wrath, and in the day of his fierce anger. It will happen like a haunted gazelle and a sheep that no one gathers. They will each turn to their own people, and will each flee to their own land. Everyone who is found will be thrust through. Everyone who is captured will fall by the sword. Their infants also will be dashed in pieces before their eyes. Their houses will be ransacked, and their wives raped. That's terrible. Terrible what these Babylonians are going to do. That's terrible what the Assyrians are going to do. But again, in Deuteronomy, God says, if you don't obey my commands, if you don't do it, then destruction will fall on you 7 times over. And we have seen from Isaiah himself, God is angry, but he's still reaching out his hand to his people. Please come back to me, and all this won't happen to you. But they refuse to do so. Verse 17, behold, I will stir up the Medes against them, who will not value silver as for gold. They will not delight in it. Their bowels will dash the young men in pieces, and they shall have no pity on the fruit of the womb. Their eyes will not spare children. Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of Chaldeans' pride, will be like when God overthrows Sodom and Gomorrah. The Babylonians are no joke. This is the kind of stuff that they're going to do when they start taking over Assyria. And Assyria starts taking hold of the house of Israel. And the house of Israel is trying to take hold of the house of Judah, which is the southern tribe of the house of Israel. Man, the politics in this is ridiculous. Verse 20, it will never be inhabited, neither will be lived in from generation to generation. The Arabian will not pitch a tent there, neither will shepherds make their flocks lie down there. But wild animals of the desert will lie there, and their houses will be full of jackals. Ostriches will dwell there, and wild goats will frolic there. Hyenas will cry in their fortress, and jackals in the pleasant places. Her time is near to come, and her days will not be prolonged. Isaiah is a prophet. We know that. Why? Because Jesus literally said he was a prophet. So Isaiah is a prophet to this time right here. And he is telling these people that this is what's going to happen. Now, they don't listen to him because they're stiff neck and they don't want to hear what God is trying to say because they have their own gods in their houses made of timber and cement that they want to worship, that these gods have no power. The Almighty is hard to worship. He requires a lot from you, but he's also the truth. And these people don't want to listen to the truth. Chapter 14, for Yahweh will have compassion on Jacob. Now, Jacob is the house of Israel. Jacob was later named Israel in his days, and he gave birth to 12 sons, and his 12 sons became the house of Israel. So when Jacob is in his flesh doing things that are wrong, he's called Jacob. When Jacob was rarely, this is funny, but rarely in the spirit doing what God told him to do, then he was called Israel. So right now we're calling him Jacob, which means he's in his flesh. For Yahweh will have compassion on Jacob, see, he's in his flesh, and will yet choose Israel. Israel was Jacob when he was in the spirit doing what was right, and set them in their own land. The foreigner will join himself with them, and they will unite with the house of Jacob. The people will take them and bring them in their places. The house of Israel will possess them in Yahweh's land for servants and their handmaids. They will take as captive those who captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. It will happen that day that Yahweh will give you rest from your sorrows, from your troubles, from your hard service in which you were made to serve. That you will take up this parable against the king of Babylon and say, how the oppressors has ceased. The golden city has ceased. Yahweh has broken the staff of the wicked, the scepter of the rulers who struck the people in wrath with a continual stroke, who ruled the nations in anger and a persecution that no one restrained. The whole earth is rest and is quiet. They bring out the song. Yes, the cypress trees rejoice with you, with the cedars of Lebanon saying, since you were humbled, no lumberjack has come up against us. Sheol from beneath has moved you to meet you at your coming. It stirs up the departed spirits for you. Even all the rulers of the earth, it is raised up from their thrones, all the kings of the nations. They will answer and ask you, have you also become as weak as we are? Have you become like us? Your pomp is brought down to Sheol with the sound of your string instruments. Maggots are spread out under you, and worms cover you. How have you fallen from heaven, shining one, son of the dawn? We are getting into some major territory here. Why? Because this is going to talk about Satan, which is one of the things that we don't get to see a lot of in the Bible. Funny enough, it talks about demonic spirits, but it never talks about Satan himself. And the book of Isaiah talks about it, and we're going to see it. How you have fallen from heaven, shining one. Interesting. The book of Genesis, it translates as a snake, the snake talking. You can also translate it as shining bronze. Now that's how the words are in Hebrew. Really weird. It can be translated as shining bronze or a serpent. So a lot of people, including myself, didn't think it was a snake because of the interpretation that we see today, but rather a shining bronze one. And we can see this also in Isaiah when it talks about Satan. Now, you can take that as you will, but I truly believe that the interpretation is for shining one. It never says that the animals talked. So when you see a serpent talking, it's just kind of odd. And when you take the interpretation as the shining one, and here as Isaiah saying shining one, you can kind of see the correlation. How you have fallen from heaven, shining one, son of the dawn. How you were cut off down to the ground. And this is what Genesis says as well. You shall slither on your belly and eat dust. I think it correlates. What do you think? Who laid the nations low. You said in your heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit on the mountain of the assembly in the far north. Now, there is a whole lesson in this that I just can't get into because of time. Now, this is a daily Bible reading. If you wanted to get into this, it would take 20 hours because there's so much into this. This is like the only, besides Revelations, this is the only insight that we get of what happened before the earth was even made. This is talking about how Lucifer fell from heaven because of his pride. And this is the only glimpse that we get. And there's so much into this that is speculation, that is what could mean this, but it also could mean this. Take it as you will, but read it with all your heart and with all your soul and try to glean the truth from it. Don't get your own interpretations from it. Glean the truth from it. Let's start in verse 12 again. Let's get this whole thing together. How you have fallen from heaven, shining one, son of the dawn. How you were cut down to the ground, who laid the nations low. You said in your heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. A lot of the times in the Bible, it says stars were meaning angels. I will sit on the mountain of the assembly. Now there's an assembly. That's interesting. In the book of Revelation, there are 24 elders. Maybe it's talking about that. In the far north, I will ascend above the heights of the cloud. I will make myself like the Most High. Yet you shall be brought down to Sheol. Satan wanted to be like God. He wanted to be like the Most High. Now, what's the problem in that? That sounds like a noble thing to me. But what's really the problem? God is the only one that can bring life. God is the only one that can make life. If Satan were to be like the Most High, he would have to be perfect in all his ways. If he did take the throne of God, he would be perverted. We would not be free. We would not have free will. We would be subjects to his every will. We would not have the freedom to choose Lucifer himself. We would be forced to do it. And this is why people say, well, okay, well, where is God? Where is he? And all these things. He's giving you free will. You have every opportunity to call on him when you need him. Now, he may make you go through bad things to teach you a lesson. I am a firm believer, if you don't know, my son was murdered. I'm a firm believer that that happened even though it was terrible and I miss my son and he did not deserve what just happened. It happened so that I might get saved. I know that sounds terrible. But it happened because if it didn't, I would not have searched this out. Now, my son was young. And in the Bible, it says there's an age of accountability. So I know that my son is in heaven. It's a terrible, awful thing that would happen to my son. But if it did not happen, I would not have been saved. My son Logan saved my soul because it made me go into the depths of grief, of depression, and I had to crawl out of it. And in order to do that, I had to find the truth. And what I did is I searched, am I ever going to see my son again? And I started to get into the spirit of, am I going to see my son in heaven? Is he in heaven? These things happen for a reason. And I don't know what those reasons are, but the only thing I can make sense of it is it happened so that I might be saved. Let's keep on going. Verse 15, yet you shall be brought down to Sheol. Sheol was hell. That's what they called it back then. To the depths of the pit. Those who see you will stare you. They will ponder you, saying, is this the man who made the earth tremble? Who shook kingdoms? Who made the world like a wilderness and overthrew its cities? Who didn't release his prisoners to their house? All the kings of the nations sleep in glory, everyone in his own house, but you are passed away from your tomb like an abominable branch, clothed with the slain who are thrust through the sword, who go down to the stones of the pit like the dead body trodden underfoot. You will not join them in burial because you have destroyed your land, you have killed your people. The offspring of evildoers will not be named forever. That's a little snippet. Now, later in the book, we're going to see it's going to expand on the Shining Ones, Lucifer himself, which is it's incredibly interesting, and we're going to see a whole bunch of stuff. But let's keep on going. Prepare for slaughter all of his children because of the iniquity of their fathers, that they not rise up again up to and possess the earth and fill the surface of the world with cities. I will rise up against them, says Yahweh of armies. I will cut off Babylon, name and remnant, and sons. Yet, says Yahweh, I will also make it a possession for the porcupine, the pools of water. I will sweep it with the broom of destruction, says Yahweh of armies. Yahweh of armies has sworn, saying, surely I have thought, so shall it happen. And as I have purposed, so shall it stand, that I will break the Assyrian in the land and tread under his foot on the mountains. Then his yoke will leave them, and his burden leave their shoulders. This is the plain that is determined for the whole earth. This is the hand that is stretched out over all the nations. For Yahweh of armies has planned, and who can stop it? His hand is stretched out, and who can turn it back? This burden was in the year that King Uzziah died. There's a lot of things going on here. They can't be explained in a matter of the time that we have. But if you go through Isaiah and look at all the history and the politics that were going through those days, you can glean a lot from this. Verse 29, don't rejoice, O Palestina, all of you, because of the rod that struck you is broken. For you of the serpent's root an adder will emerge, and his fruit will be a fiery flying serpent. The firstborn of the poor will eat, and the needy will lie down in safety. And I will kill your root with famine, and your remnant will be killed. Howl, gate, cry, city. You are melted away, Palestina, all of you. For smoke comes out of the north, and there is no strangler in his ranks. What will they answer the messengers of the nation, that Yahweh has founded Zion, and in her affliction of the people will take refuge? That's pretty steep. It's pretty rough. Proverbs is the last thing we're going to do today. Proverbs 23, verses 9 through 11. Don't speak in the ears of a fool, for he will despise the wisdom of your words. Whew, man, do I see that on a daily basis. Don't move the ancient boundary stone and encroach on the fields of the fatherless, for their defender is strong. He will plead their case against you. Don't move the ancient boundary stone. There's an ancient boundary stone. There's a boundary. If we cross that boundary, bad things are going to happen. But I'm afraid that we already have removed that boundary stone, and we're seeing bad things happen a lot more. Don't encroach on the field of the fatherless, for their defender is strong. He will plead their case against you. Dear Lord, thank you for this day, and thank you for what you're teaching us in the book of Isaiah, that prophecy, that pride is the root of all evil. You want us to be humble because why? You are the root of life. And that in our own strength, nothing can happen. We must be humble to reach out to you because you are what satisfies our soul. Everything in this life is just bubbles. Once we touch that bubble, it's going to pop. It makes no sense. It's not even real. You are the one that satisfies our soul, and that's the thing that we need to understand. May we be humble and reach out to you. May you teach us things that are in the spirit world. May we hear from you today and tell us what you want us to do. In your name I pray. Amen. Well, warriors, go out to this day, tackle this day, hear from the Lord, and do what he tells you to do. Okay? And I'll see you later. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.